I'm Stephen Mayne. Welcome to the Mayne Report from the Pod Hotel in New York City. As you can see, it's a tiny little bedsit, but I'm about to pump out 2,000 or 3,000 words to my subscribers summarising what happened at the News Corp AGM. Now, the big news today was the amount of support that my resolution to end Rupert's gerrymander, the system that has a dual class capital structure where 70% of News Corporation's shares don't have a vote. I put up a resolution to get rid of it, and it was supported by 65% of the independent shareholders. Now, Rupert was trying to downplay the support by saying, nah, it was only 22.9%. But there are a couple of things you've got to remember here. Firstly, Rupert himself owns 323 million shares, so you've got to take them out. Then you've got his old mate John Malone, who owns 188 million shares. He voted to back Rupert today, so he voted against my resolution. So when you take out the 511 million shares that Malone and Murdoch control, the votes were as follows. 184 million shares supported my resolution, that's almost 5 billion Australian dollars worth, and only 109 million shares supported the board and opposed my resolution. So this is one of the big protests that we've seen, and Rupert should heed the message. Next year, when I'm going to put up the same resolution, Rupert won't have Malone backing him with his 18.8% stake. So the pressure is on, and the question now is whether Rupert will listen to the message from his independent shareholders and get real and get democratic. The other hilarious thing today was the whole question of Rupert's re-election. I asked the guy, when were you last re-elected? And he said, 3 years ago. And I said, what? Where'd this come from? And it turns out that as part of the move to America, all the board was re-elected. So I then said, forget about that, because we've never heard of this before. When were you last elected as a regular director at the AGM? And no one could remember. The different lawyers were getting up, coming up with their weasel words, but it really does look like that Rupert Murdoch has spent the whole 55 years running News Corp without ever facing an election. And you know what? Today, history was made. He was re-elected with 99.5% of the shares in favour. And I said to the guy, Rupert, no one's going to sack you. We've all re-elected you with 99% in favour. This is why you should get rid of your gerrymander. No one's going to sack you, the shares will go up, and you'll have a true democratic process at News Corporation. I don't think the Sun King was listening. He's still a paranoid control freak, but the guy is still an absolute legend, and it was a pleasure jousting with him at the Hudson Theatre today. The 8th time in 9 years we've had a good sparring match at the News Corp AGM. I'm Stephen Mayne. Just keep doing your best.